Hello, and thank you for taking time to support my YouTube channel. The video course that you're watching right now is a sample from the full course titled 3 Principles of a Kick-Ass UiPath Developer. If you like the free content, and if you want to learn more about the course, I will leave the information in the description below where you can purchase the full course. I will also leave my email if you have any questions about anything related to RPA. Again, thank you for watching. Look forward to see you in the course. In this video, we're going to install SAP and VirtualBox. Now, I will provide the link in the description below, but what you will get is this SAP and then this GUI and then the VirtualBox. In order to extract this, you will need the password, and that will also be provided in the link below. But what I use is 7-zip to do the extraction, and you can just Google that. It's very easy. You just install it, and then once you install it, you just come here, select 7-zip, and then you want to put it in this folder here. So it'll say extract to here, or you can just extract here. What I like to do is do it here, and then once you do that, I'm just gonna say, let me do it again because I already have it. Let me move this out of this drive so it won't have any problems. And then now let me just show you again. So now if I come here, extract to this folder, you'll get a password. It's going to say enter the password, and the password is going to be ABAP777, and that will be again provided in the link below. And then just go ahead and install that. Well, go ahead and extract that, and then in the next video we'll go ahead and install VirtualBox. Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. In this video, we're going to go ahead and start or install our VirtualBox. So let's come here. We're going to double click on this. And then we're going to click next. And then we can leave everything as default and just select next. And we can also leave all of these checked, click next again. And then we're going to get this warning, and it's just saying that our internet will temporarily be disconnected. So just continue and say yes, and then install it. Let's wait for that to install. And so now what you want to do, you'll get this pop up. It's just asking, do you trust Oracle? And you can say yes, go ahead and install. Next, we're going to uncheck this because I don't want it to start. Just want to say finished. And then now we will have, if you remember our extension, it didn't have this little box, but now it does. So what we want to do is double click this. Then from here, you just want to go ahead and install it and agree to the terms and condition. Yes. Let's give it a few minutes. Okay, so it's now it's saying that it was successfully installed. Now we have that installed. And so in the next video, we're going to create our virtual machine. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. In this video, we're going to create our virtual machine and configure it. So if we come here, we want to say add, and then we want to navigate to this folder here, to this section here. So you could actually just copy this and put it here, and then select this one, say open. And so now we have our virtual machine here. And the next thing we want to do is go to our settings. So click on this, and we want to go to settings. Then we want to go to network. Then we want to select this here. And then we want to say port forwarding. And we want to make sure that all of these are correct. So we have 3300, 8000, 443,000, 32, 84, 8443, and 22. And click OK. That is it for this video. In the next video, we're going to start our virtual machine, and we're going to get ready to start configuring our SAP. Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. In this video, we're going to install SAP GUI. So this is another thing that we downloaded from the Google Drive. If you right click on it and do the same thing that you did with this first zip file, just go to zip 7-zip and extract here, and then you'll get this folder here. Now, I've already done it, so I'm not going to do it again. There is no password for this folder, so you can just extract it. But once you get that, what you want to do is come here, and then you want to, sorry, go back. This is it. This is what you would get. So come here, go to this folder. You want to go to preset 1, go to GUI, Windows 32, and then we want to run the, which one is it? The SAP GUI setup, this one here. And then you'll get a message to pop up, just say yes. So once you finish installing it, you will get this wizard here. We're going to click next, and then I'm going to uncheck all of these. The only one I'm going to check is SAP Knowledge, is this first one here, and then I'm going to select next. Then just continue, say continue, and this will take some time to install. So I'm going to pause the video until we get finished. Okay, so now that that's finished installing, I'm going to click close, and we see that we have this SAP logon. If we double click on that, it'll open up. Okay, so now that we have this, what we want to do is come to our virtual machine, and you can either click start or double click on it, but this will start up our virtual box. And if you've already done it before, you may not see what my screen is. Well, if you haven't done it before, you might not see what my screen is because I've already started it. But just give it some time, and we can click do not show the message again, and just let it run. It's still running. Okay, so now let's make this bigger. What you would do is you would close this out. You come here, this is the startup text that was prepared for us. And the first thing you want to do is it says go to the terminal. If you click, I'll give it 1 second. Okay, so if we click activities, it'll give us this this desktop, and we want to select the terminal. And now if we just drag it over to the side, let's make this a little bit bigger. Drag this over to the side, and we want to copy this. And then paste it. And click enter. Then the password is this right here. So we're going to say ABAP777, enter. And then we'll get this here. And so now we want to type this in, startup all. Start SAP all. Okay, so once we get this here, this little I don't really know what it is, but this arrow, that means that it's finished, it's complete. And now a way that we can check this is if we right click here, select all of this, copy paste to activities, we'll see this. And then we right click and then paste it inside and click enter. This is going to do a check. And if we see everything is green, like these processes are green, then that means everything is running fine. And now we have our server running. Now we're going to go to our client and then we're going to create a connection. Okay, so now we need to go back to our SAP logon and we want to create a connection. So come here, say new. And we want to say next and give it a description. I'm going to say system SAP. And then the application server is 127.0.0.1.00 NPL, and then click finish. And then you'll see this, so you double click on it. And then now we will get this, means that we successfully added our connection. And so now we want to use this as the username, all caps developer. And then password is APPL1ANCE. Then just click enter and we should get a connection. Voila, so now we have it. This is our SAP installed. Okay, so in the next tutorial, we'll kind of go through some things that we're going to do. We're going to add some data, some dummy data to this if we don't already have it, and then we'll start automating these SAP application. Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you next video. In this video, we're going to create our tables for our products. Now, to get started, if you see your screen errors like this, meaning it locked, all you have to do is just click the space bar and then type in the password, the ABAP777. And then you'll be able to get back to your screen. And if you ever want to lock it, you can just come here and click the lock button, and you can also power off from there. Okay, so one more thing, if you ever want to shut down your server, this is what you have to type. So if you remember when we started our server, we just use this here, start SAP all, and to stop it, you say stop SAP all. Now let me get out of this. Let me go back to here. So I will provide you with the Excel files that we're going to use. Let me just show it to you. So now you can come up with your own, but if you want to follow through what I'm doing, I created, I found and I modified some data that we're going to use. And so we're going to create our table. We're going to create an ID, a retail country, retail type, product line, product type, product description, price, and quantity. And this is going to be our table. So we're going to have to add this table to our SAP. And then from there, you can either manually add this data to SAP. You can write a program. If you're familiar with SAP and you know how to program SAP, then you can write a program to add the data, or you can create a bot to add the data. And that's what I'm going to do. Okay. So the first thing we want to do is once we log in, we're going to be at this screen here. So this is what it will look like. So if you come to your favorites, you will see these two things here. This is where we're going to add our table. And now I've already created a table, so I'm going to create another one just so I can show you. But what you want to do is have your table called product Z products. And I'm not an expert at SAP. I don't plan to know it. I'm not even trying to claim that I know it, but just through my little research and my little training and Googling and stuff, most of the tables, the custom tables that you create would have this Z in the front. And I guess it's to kind of uniquely identify from the actual tables, from the custom tables. So just put a Z and then products in the front. Now what I'm going to do is, let's say I'll make another one. Let's call it 1 or 2. And then once you do that, what you want to do is say create. And then now that you created this table, you want to come here and then click on this. You want to make sure that you have application selected there. And you want to come here and you want to change this to be maintenance allowed. So this will allow us to modify our table. And if you read this message here, it's telling us that we need to fill out all of the required fields. And if I can scoot this over, basically we just need to add this short description. So I'm gonna say demo products, and then maintenance allow. And then this, so the buttons that you will normally use are these 3 or these 2 here. This is to check to see if there's any errors, and this is when you're writing your program, and this is to activate the changes that you just made. And then this here is if it's ever in a read only mode, you can go to display so that you can make changes. So what I'm gonna do is come to this field. Let me change it, make sure I selected this. Okay, yep. So when you do that, it should get an A. Let me just activate it. Okay, and now we come to this tab called Fields, and this is where you can add in your fields. And I want to say, let me open up another one and make sure that let me open up another instance so I can make sure that I'm giving you the tables that I'm doing myself. So okay, so one of the first fields that you want to do, you want to create a product ID. So you want to call it ZPID, and I'm gonna name it mine 2 or 2 because I already have one. And you want to make it the key. So you add it there, and then you make it the key, and then you do the same thing here. But then when you come here, you want to push enter, right? And so now it says it's not activated. But if you notice, we got some automatic data populated. So now what we do is we come here and we double click on this, and it's going to ask us, do we want to save this changes? So we're going to say yes, continue, and then we're going to get this here. But what you want to make sure that you do when you come to this screen is select local object, and then it says specify client table, click yes, and then data element does not exist. Do you want to create it? Say yes. And so now we got to give it a description. So this is product 2 ID or product ID. And then you want to give it the same name. C ID. Make mine 2. And then you want to, you want to double click on this and say yes, local object, Click yes. So now you want to give this, I know it's kind of it seemed like it's repeating itself, but it's not. Just give this product ID and give this a data type. And this data type is going to be, I think I made it as a integer. Let me see. Yep, I made it as an integer. So double click that, and then you want to come inside of here. Let's change it to 5. So we're going to say this one here's an integer 2, integer 2. So make it a integer 2, and this is fine. We're going to get a warning message saying that our numbers are different, but that's okay. So now that we have this, we want to say activate local object, select it because it's telling you that you're saving this domain. So now you can go back, click back, and then now we're back to this screen because we just saved our domain. So now we can activate this, save it here, check, and then go back, and now we're here. And so now we can activate this table, and we're going to click that. The data class is going to ask us for a data class, and this is going to only be one time. We want to say a master data, and then we want to give this size. Sorry, so inside of here you want to click this magnifying glass, and this is how many records do you plan to have. Let's just say from here, that's fine, and you can select whatever you want, right, and save this. Now you see it at the bottom, it says it's saved. You want to go back and then click the checkbox, and it says it's just giving us some warnings. As long as you don't have any errors, then you're good. So let's say save, and this is just some warnings, which is fine. And that is how you add your fields. Now I'm gonna show you what you would like to add. I'm not gonna go ahead and make them twice because I already have them. But this is what you want to have. You want to have your PID. You want to have this man DT, and the data type is a client. Just follow the same thing that I did. You want to have your retail country, your retail type, and basically you're just doing the same thing that we're getting from this Excel file. So yeah, just so make sure that you get all of these values. And the only other one that we're adding that is not on this Excel file is this one here, this mandatory. I think that's what it is, mandatory field. So we have to have this in, and it's a client because it lets us know which client is saving this table. But everything else is what's inside of that Excel file. And just make sure you pause the screen and you take a quick look at what I have, and make sure yours is like that, okay? All right, so that is it for this video. In the next video, we're going to start building our bot to add the data, okay? Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. Yep. So in this video, we're going to start creating our bot to load our data. Now you should have something like this, and if you don't have this, just go ahead and make it. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, okay? So the next thing we're going to do is, if we go to utilities and we go to table of content, you should see this. And if you don't see this, if it's grayed out, that means you did not activate your table, and you have to activate the table. So make sure you can come to this and then go to create entries, and now you should see this, and we can start entering in our data. What I'm gonna do is make this small. Now before we start with UiPath, we need to enable the scripting. So let's just go ahead and do a process. So I've already started one, but I'm gonna create one as we go. So I'm gonna call this table loader. And this doesn't have to be anything fancy or anything like that. Um, I don't really plan on using it other than just loading this table data. Okay. So now what we're going to do is enable our SAP. So let's minimize this and let's come back here. And if we go back, just go all the way back, keep going back to here. And if this is closed, just open it up. And we're going to type in RZ11. Okay. And so now we need to look for a specific parameters. It's going to be SAP GUI, and I think I already have it here. Make sure I've spelled it right. Yep. So tab over. So it's SAP GUI /user underscore scripting. And so once you have that, you want to click display, and it's going to open up this screen. And then now what we're going to do is change this value. And now mine is already changed, but if you click this, then you would want to have this new value as true. And mine is already, well, it doesn't say it's true, but let me just go ahead and do it anyway. And save it. Well, I'm not going to do it because I've already enabled it. It was false, new value, current value. Yeah, see, my current value is already true, but yours may be false. I'm not really sure, but just go ahead and then add this. Let me just save it anyway. It's not gonna hurt anything. Okay, so now we have all true. Well, we have true for this scripting, all right? And now if we go back and then go to our data browser, no, I'm sorry, SE11. So let me just show you again. So it's SE11. You can double click here or just type it. So SE11, and then we're going to type in the table that we just created. We're going to go to display, and now if you see these are blanked out, so we need to click this here, and now we can see it. All right, even though we're not going to do anything, you know, it's just allows us to. And so now we want to come here, go to tables, create entries, and now we're ready to start doing our coding. Let me make that a little bigger. Open up UiPath that we just started. And what I want to do is create a workflow first. And again, it's nothing, this is nothing official. So you can do however you want, but if you want to follow along with me, then you can do that. So the first thing I'm gonna do is drag over my application scope. And so now I want to get this path to this here. And then, and if you've already gone through the basic course with me, all of this should be familiar. And if you haven't, then I highly recommend you go through that first, because at a later point, we're going to get into some things that are a little more advanced. So. Okay. And then so now we want to read in our range. And this, if you look at this file has a sheet name. We want to include that. Okay, and our data table, we're gonna name it whatever you want to. I'm gonna call it products. And I'm gonna change this to be workflow, just so that I can use it. Okay, and that's pretty much it. So let's go back here. Next thing, we're gonna get our loop. Then we want to loop through each product. Then we want to drag over our set text. And we're gonna need a couple of these. So let me make this a little small. Hopefully you can still see this. And so now that we have our GUI enabled, we're able to actually click on these. Now I'm not sure, like maybe you may still be able to spy these elements without enabling the script, but it's best practice to actually to enable this scripting if you're using SAP. So now our first row going to be this value here, and we're just going to do this for all of those values. So do another set text, and again, this is not in anything that's you know, production ready or anything. So we want to say this is going to be row 1. I mean, this one. Let's do another one. Now, if you want to kind of go ahead and skip past me, you can do that. But I just want to point out one thing. I'm not sure how how you set your table up, but this price does not accept decimals. Now, if you can set it up as a decimal, and then it will accept the decimals, but I set mine up as a string, and I just didn't want to go back. I can change it, so I'm gonna leave it as a string. And so because I'm leaving it as a string, I need to like truncate off anything that's after the decimal. So I just want to point that out to you before you go ahead and get started. So now, which one are we on now? Product line or type? Let me see. Yeah, country, type, it's line. Yeah, I'm doing it right. This is 3. That's line, product line. Now product type. Description. I think I'm missing something somewhere. We have 0. 1 is for country. 2 is for type. 3 is for line. 4 is for a product type. Okay, 5 is for the description. Okay. And then it's quantity. Now, for some reason, mine it skipped. Not really sure why, but mine is actually 7, I believe. And then my price is actually 6. So if yours is the same way, you might want to just double check that. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is search for the split. Okay, so what you want to do now is go to your managed package and you want to search for this workflow. Sorry. Workflow manager, this here. Download this. And now we want to save it. Now, if you want to write .NET, you can go ahead and do that. I'm just going to use the split function. Now I'm going to use search for the split. Go back inside of here. And I'm going to drag it over. Inside of here, our input is going to be, it's actually going to be 6. And it may be different for you, but for me at least, that's what it was. I didn't really check to see why. Yeah, so our result is going to be price, and we can go and change that to be a string. To be an array if it's not already, and then the separator is going to be a period for our. I'm just going to go ahead and remove empty entries. Put a period for our decimal. Come here and look at this product. Yep, it is a string. Let me make it here body. No, I can leave it a body. That's fine. And then so now I can say price. First part of that, and I don't have to say toString, but I'm gonna say toString. And now we need to, once we enter in the data, we need to click enter, save, and then reset. So I want to grab this click. Enter. And then we want to do the save button. And then last, we want to do the reset. Okay, so let's give this a try. Okay, and if you see at the bottom left corner, it says it was created successfully. So that means that everything is working fine. Now this will take a while for you to enter in all of the data, and it really depends on how many you want to enter in. I've already started previously, and so I'm up to 259. I may let it continue to run for like maybe a few more hundred, and then I'm going to stop it. So in the next video, what are we going to do? In the next video, we're going to start our process, okay? Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. In this video, we're going to install SQL Server Management Studio, and we're going to import our data into our database. So the first thing you want to do is come to Google and just search for SQL Server Management Studio. The reason why I'm choosing 7.19, 18 is the latest, but I had problems with importing the data using 18. So I read somewhere on the internet that just roll your system back to 17.9. So that's what I'm gonna do, right? I'm going to download this one. I already had it installed, downloaded, so let me remove this one here. Now this may take a minute, so let me just pause the video and come back. Okay, so now that we have that installed, let's go ahead, or download it. Let's go ahead and install that. My audio has died while recording, but I just wanted to point out that although you see databases created in my screen, on your setup, you may not see these databases if you don't have any setup in SQL Server, but don't worry, in the next video, I will show you how to create those databases. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you in the next tutorial. In this video, we're going to be importing our data. I want to show you where I get my data from. Of course, you can always Google a data set, but what I normally do is come to kaggle.com. I'm not sure if it's Kaggle or Kaggle, but this is a machine learning site where you can enter in competitions and they give you data so you can build your machine learning models and train your machine learning algorithms. So, but if you create an account, you can come here and get a bunch of free data sets, right? So what I'm going to use is this data set here for the bank customer, and I'm going to delete this row here. I'm going to keep the customer ID. I'm going to keep this surname, delete this, and others. So let me just show you that I've already done that. And if I come to bank customer, and if you get this one, the name won't be customer, but I changed the name so that when we import our data, the name will be a customer. So this is what I have left after I deleted all the rows. I got the customer name or the customer ID, the surname, the geography, the gender, and the age. And if you want to, have different data, then you can do that as well, right? So make sure you close this out, and then let's go to our SQL Server. I created a new table, and if you haven't created a table, just all you have to do is come here and just say new a new database if you would like. I'm sorry. So if you haven't created a new database, I created this new database called Advanced UiPath, and if you haven't done that, just go to new database, And then once you do that, come here and then say task and then import flat file. And then you'll get this wizard here, and you can always check no. I'm just going to click next. And you want to search where you want to get the data from. And you can change this name if you like. And this gives us a preset, a preview of what the data looks like. And you can change this. So I'm going to make the customer ID the primary key, and then I'm going to click next. And it was successful. So now we can close this out. And if we come here to our tables, we should see. Yep. So if you refresh it, you should see this dbo.customer, and that is our data, and that is pretty much all we need. So just let's test this. Let's say a new query. And just say select all from customers. Is it customer or customer? Customer, yep. Then execute that. And yep, so it gives us all of the records back. And so that means our table was correctly imported, and we now have our data. I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. In this video, we're going to install Visual Studio. Now, I already downloaded it, but just in case, and I actually wanted to kind of come back and then show you because you may get confused. But once you come to, you can Google Visual Studio, or you can just type this in visualstudio.microsoft.com and then come here and then just click download and go to the Community Edition 2017, right? Now, I already have it downloaded, and I'm not sure why I did it twice. I think this is the second one that I accidentally just did. But so once you download it, start installing it. And then once you get to this page here, this is what I wanted to show you, because I kind of felt that you may get lost or get kind of confused once you get to this point. But these are workloads that you can install. I would just go ahead and get this, because we're not going to be building any web apps or anything like that. All we're going to be doing is developing .NET, C# code, so that we can run it on our UiPath. And so this is all you actually need. So just go ahead and get that, and it's 3 gigs, which is a lot better than what 17, right? So once you click install, it's going to start installing, and it'll take some time. No, I do not want to take a survey. So I'm just going to pause the video, and I will come back after it has completed, okay? Okay, so we finally got it to finish installing, and I think it did finish, but I'm not sure. Oh, okay, so no, it's not. It's finishing up now. But while we wait for this to finish doing this last piece, I went ahead and I pulled up this from UiPath. So later in the course, we're going to go to the part where we are creating our custom code, and we're going to follow this. We may modify it and make our own, but I just wanted to kind of give you guys an example of how to create your custom code using Microsoft Visual Studio. And this is what UiPath provided. And so those of you who are an eager beaver, you can go ahead and get started now. You can just follow this. It's very simple to follow. As well as this is the UiPath's GitHub, and they have some custom code examples where other people have created. So feel free to go through this stuff and play around with it. But again, later in the course, we are going to go through and we're going to at least create this. We may create something that pertains to the hands-on project. I really haven't decided yet. But for right now, if you want to go ahead and get something started, you can go ahead and start go to this website here. Okay, now let's go back to this and see if it's finished. Okay, yep, so it's asking me to reboot my system. So I think that is it for this video. Once you restart this, you will be able to pull up Visual Studio, and then we're just gonna pause on that for a second. For this module, what I just wanted to do is install all of our prerequisites and our dependencies and everything. And that's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you in the next one. In this video, we're going to install SQLite, the DB browser for SQLite. Now, the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm going to show you two different ways where you can use SQL inside of UiPath. One is you can use it through the SQLite that UiPath provides, and the other way you can use the database connection to connect to a different database. All right, so the first way we're going to do is using SQLite, which UiPath provides, and you actually don't need this DB browser for SQLite, but it makes it easier for you to actually see it, right? So if you come to this website here, SQLite browser, just go and you can click download or whatever, and then you can get a download. You just can choose the standard if you have a 32-bit Windows and 64-bit. So whichever one you decide to do, just download that. I've already have it downloaded, but once you download it, it's a super quick download. And once you get it, you will get something that looks like this. It'll open up in a few seconds. I already had two of them open. I think I did it twice. Let me close out one. And so it'll look like this here, right? And this makes it easier for you to, kind of see visually see the data. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna also provide you with this CSV form file, but you can create it on your own. I just made a simple accounts CSV file, and I just have the date of the account numbers, and some random number, some numbers from 1000 to 1024, and then some blank, some random balance column, right? Now again, you can make this up if you want, but I will provide this. And so once you have that, save it as a CSV. Once you open up Excel, you want to go and save it as a CSV file. Just drop down here. If you have the same kind of Excel that I have, you will see it here. So save it as a CSV. And then once you do that, now you can come to this DB browser, and we can create a new database. Now we can do this inside of UiPath, but just as a simple way, I'm just going to show you. You can create a new database here, and you can point to where you want to store it at. I'm going to put mine inside of this folder here called DB, and it's going to be called my DB. I'm going to save it, right? And then now it's going to ask you, do you want to add a table? We'll just push cancel, because we're not going to do it now. Well, we're going to do it now, but we're not going to do it the way that they want us to do it. And then so now if you come here and you say file, import, it's kind of a similar way to what we did with the SQL Server. And now we're going to import table from a CSV, select this file, and we see our data, and just click OK. So data has been imported. And just to give this a test, we can come here and say select star from accounts, and we see those values being added. And so that means that we have our data, and we can close it. We can just say yes, save it, and then exit out. And that is how we have installed it. And now you can see this database being created right here. And if you want to just check that out again, you can open DB browser, and then go to open database, go back to your location, And then you can see you have this data, and the table, you only have one table, and it's called accounts. You have these three fields. Okay, now that is how you create your tables using DB browser. Now in the next video, I'm going to show you how you can use the SQLite that comes with UiPath to create some connection and start running some queries on this database. Okay, I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. Hello, and thank you for taking time to support my YouTube channel. The video course that you're watching right now is a sample from the full course titled 3 Principles of a Kick-Ass UiPath Developer. If you like the free content, and if you want to learn more about the course, I will leave the information in the description below where you can purchase the full course. I will also leave my email if you have any questions about anything related to RPA. Again, thank you for watching. Look forward to seeing you in the course. In this video, we're going to create our connection for our SQLite with UiPath. Now, the first thing you want to do is come to your packages, and you want to make sure you have this package here installed, and say type in SQL, and you'll get the SQLite for UiPath. Just make sure you have this installed. Okay, so now let's just create a simple sequence, and we're going to look for our SQLite activities. Process go away. Okay. Yep. So if you're familiar with a database, or if you're not familiar with a database, you want to first create your connection, and then you want to execute some kind of a query, whether it's a non-query or an executable query, and then you want to close that connection. Right now, if you just hover over this, you will see the difference between the non-query and the query. Right, the non-query are things like the update, delete, create table, alter table, those kind of things where it doesn't really affect the data, so to speak. Right now, the actual query, this is where you would do your SQL querying the actual database, right? Your select statement. And of course here you can insert data into a table based on a data table. So now what we just did in the previous video, we inserted our data using SQL SQLite application. We could have easily did this. We could have loaded our data from the Excel into a data table and then ran this query, this query here. But I just wanted to show you the DB browser because it just makes things simpler when you can see it, when you can actually visualize it. So that's what I just wanted to do. Okay, but you could have easily inserted that table data using this here. Okay, now the first thing we want to do is create our connection, and then we're just going to come here. We're going to give this a output. So Control K. We're going to say output out connection. And then we want to, now I just want to let me show you something. So after we create our connection, we're going to execute a query. And then inside of here, if you see the database full path, and then here we also see this database full path, you only need to provide the full path in either one of these, whether it's here or here, right? If you do both of them, you will get an error. So you only need to do it for one. I'm just going to do it here. And it's because I'm creating a connection to that database. And this right here may change, whereas the create connection and close a connection will always be the same, right? So inside of this, it's like think of it as a hamburger. You always want to have the two buns, but inside of that bun you can have different things. So we can have this. We can have a different type of query. We can insert data All of these can be different, and so that's why I'm not going to provide my data, the database in here, and I'm gonna put it here, right? So now I'm going to go to this table, to this folder. I'm going to copy this. Then I'm going to put it inside of the string. Now, our database is called mydb.db. And if we go, we'll see that. So mydb, and if we look at the properties, we'll see it's a .db. Okay. So we have that. And now I want to use the same connection that I just created to connect here. So I'm going to say, what is it, out connection? I'm not sure why I called it out connection. But now here we're going to give this a data table. So we're going to say out data table. Control K. Did I spell data table wrong? Yep. Oh, we already have our data table. Okay. Delete one of these. Okay. And then here we can enter in that query that we just did a minute ago. So we can say select, put it inside string, select all from accounts, semicolon. And then now we want to close this connection, which is out connection. And then now we want to, let's get our output data table. Put it here. This data table is, what do we call it? Out data table. And then I just want to call this string results. Control K. Control K. String result. And then I want to write this to a line. Okay. And we just give this a run. Okay, and let's check our output. And we have our data. We have our column, date, account number, and balance. And this is all of our data. So that is a simple way where you can use the database. In the next video, I'm going to show you how you can use the database connection to actually query from a SQL Server database, which we have, or if you have a MySQL or whatever database you actually have. I'm going to show you how to do it in that way. Okay. Hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. In this video, we're going to create our connection to our SQL Server database. And the first thing you want to do is come and make sure that you have the UiPath Database activity installed. So go to All Packages and just type Database, and you will see this UiPath Database Activities. Make sure you have it installed, and then once you search for database, you should see this app integration and then a database. Now these look similar to what we just saw a minute ago with the SQLite, but they are different, and they are under SQLite for those, and this is up under app integration. Okay, so now that we have that, let's create our sequence, and then let's drag over at, let's say, database, and let's go to connection, and then let's add a disconnect. And the thing I like about this one is that it gives you this connection wizard. You can select connect, and we want to select this SQL query here, Now, before I do that, you want to go to your SQL Manager Studio, which you should have already installed based on the previous videos, and just go ahead and select that. Click OK. Okay, so once this starts, you will get this server name, and this is what we're going to use. So just copy this and then push cancel. And if you ever need to bring it back up, just come here and say connect database engine, and you'll see it again. Okay, so I'm here and we're going to type it in, and so now we get to choose our database name from the table that we created in the earlier video, which mine was under, my database was under Advanced UiPath. Excuse me, UiPath. And now we want to test this connection, and we get a connection succeeded. So that's good. So now we can click OK. Now we want to give this an output connection. So let's say, DB connection. Now we want to, let's go ahead and disconnect it. So we want to use this DB connection to disconnect. Then again, inside of here, we're going to execute our query. So again, if you remember from the earlier video, the previous one, we don't have to give it a another connection string, since we already did that here. All we need to do is use an already connected. So we're going to say this DB connection, and we don't even have to give the provider name because it's already given here. But what we do need to give is an output data. So we're going to say DB DT. So name is DT. And then inside of here, we also want to give our SQL. Okay, so I'm tripping. Okay, so here's where we're going to put our select in. I'll say all from. Now my table was customer. That. Now we're going to go here and search for our output and get this DT. And we're going to say string result. And we're going to write it to the line. That's it. So now when we run it, we should get our table. And now we get our table. Now the thing about this one as versus the SQL SQLite, it doesn't come with the table name. We should be able to change that. I think we should be able to add so that's probably a bummer that it doesn't give us the table headers. Yep, it doesn't give us the table headers anywhere. So yep, so if you are using this, then you won't get the table headers. But what you can do is you can already have your Excel, your template. If you're going to write this to in Excel, you can already have that the template created with the headers, or you can write those headers to the Excel by just appending the the tables and then write this. But this is pretty much how you would connect your SQL Server database to UiPath and execute a query. Now you have your choice between using this one or the SQLite. Either of them will work the same, Most likely you won't use the SQLite on a client project, because the client will already have their database, whether they're using Oracle or some other database, most likely an Oracle database. Well, for our project, we're going to use SQL Server. Okay. I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. In this video, we're going to create a more specific query, and then later we're going to create a stored procedure. So in our last video, what we did is we created our regular query where we just queried all of the data back from our customer table. Now let's run that and just see. So we got back all of our data. Right. Now, in most cases, you want to have a more specific query than this, right? So let's just say we know we have a value on the table, a column on the table called age, right? So we say select all from customers where age is greater than, let's say, 20. And then let's run this. Okay, so now we get back everybody that's greater than 20, and it's only like a few people, I guess. No, it's a lot. Just gotta scroll up. Okay, so now let's make this dynamic. And what we're gonna do is, instead of using this value 20, we wanted to make it dynamic, right? So let's give this a value called at column. I don't really know if it's column 1, 2, or 3, but I'm just gonna say column 3. And then I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna edit my parameter. And I'm gonna create one, and I'm gonna say it is column 3, and it's an integer, and the value is 20. So now this column 3, this @ sign, is gonna be substituted by whatever value we pass in as the parameter. Now let's give this a try. Okay. And if we look at our data, we get the same thing. So let's try one more time. Let's say over 50. So what we want to do is come to this parameter and change this. And honestly, we can even make it more. So in most cases, you will be having something passing as an argument, but we're just going to use a variable for now. And we're going to say this is called column 1, and there's an integer. And we're going to say here, we're going to make this value 50. So now in our edit query, in our parameter, we're going to use this variable that we just created called column 1. I should have made it the same thing, column 3. Go back here and change this to be column 3. So just let me explain this again. So we just created a local variable called column 3, and we initialize it to 50. And then now inside of our parameter, we are passing in something that's going to be changed at dynamic at the runtime called column 3. And that column 3 is this, and it's being fed this value right here called column 3. All right. So I hope that's clear. Let's run it and see. We should get some different results back. Okay, so now we got everybody that's over 50. And let me just change this name just so that it can be more clear. So we're going to say local variable, just so that that's clear for everyone. And now if we come in here, it's automatically changed to local variable. So this local variable that we created is going to be passed into this column 3, which is now going to be whatever this is. It's going to be whatever we just passed in is going to be substituted to this column 3 here. Now this right here has to match this, right? And that is how you do Not really sure what happened to my UiPath. Okay. Yep. So now that is how you do a more dynamic query. In the next video, we're going to look at how we can write our first stored procedure. Okay. Hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. Okay. In this video, we're going to create our stored procedure. Now, in the last video, we ran it from a more specific type of query, but in this video, what we're going to do is come to our SQL Server Manager Studio, and we're going to click this right here, is programmable, and then we're going to select, so yours may look like this when you come, and then just click this here, and you will see no procedures. But if you click New Query, it'll give us a new window to type our stored procedure. So we're going to say create procedure give it a name, get over age, and then give it a variable that we want to pass in, a parameter. So I'm going to say age, and then we're going to give it as an int, and then we're going to say as select star from customer where age is greater than, pass this parameter in. And then now if we hit execute, we'll get command completed successfully. And then if we right click on this and refresh it, we'll see our new stored procedure. All right. So now if we do a new query, we can just simply say execute this number, this name. So say execute, give the name, and then we want to say age equals, and let's say 50. We want to say 60. All right, and then let's hit let's select this and hit execute, and then we'll get all of the values where age is greater than 60. All right, so let me just kind of go through it again. And this is not a database tutorial, but just to kind of give you some heads up on how stored procedures work. You create a stored procedure, you give it a name, and then you give it a parameter that you want to pass into this like function, so to speak. And in this function, the name represents this SQL query here, with this select query, which is select from customers where age, we're passing in, is greater than this variable that we pass in. And then when you execute it, all you need to do is just give it this name and the parameter that is required. Okay. So now that we see how that works, let's go back to our UiPath, and then let's change this here. Let's say, let's give it this name, and then we want to say age is greater than, so we only need to give it this name here and then this variable age, and so this variable here should match whatever we have in this parameter, which is age. And then now yours may not have this, but my UiPath crashed a minute ago, and when I started back I lost everything, so I had to recreate everything again, and I just put age for here. And then we can either change this to local variable so that we won't get it confused again. Come here, and then this would be local variable. So again, this local variable just represents this here, right? And it's passed into this age, and then this age has to match this. So now let's give that a try. Let's give this right here, let's say 70 here, and let's give it a try. And if we look at our results, we see everything that's over 70. So that is how you do a store procedure. And if you want to, we can even modify more to say, give it multiple things. So we'll say this is an int, and then we're going to say gender, and then it's going to be a varchar. Let's just give it 50. Well, it should only be 20. And then now we'll say and gender equals gender. Right? Okay, so I think I'm getting this error because this should be an and. Yep, so that went away. Okay, yep, so make sure you put an and not an ampersand. Okay, and now let's execute this. Got it. Okay, so it's saying it already exists. So let me copy this just in case. Let's copy this out. Let's close it, and let's come here, make sure we refresh it, and then let's go to modify it. Yep, see, it did not save. So once you modify it, just come here and just paste whatever you just had in, and then execute that. We need to add this back in, so add a comma, and we're going to give it this name gender. And it is a varchar, and it's 20 characters. And now let's execute it. Okay, so now we successfully loaded it, and now let's give this a try. This will be age, and then this one will be gender equals male. See how this works. Okay, yep, so now we got only males back. And then now if we come to UiPath, and the reason why I'm doing this is just so that I can show you that if you have multiple parameters, you want to just separate them by this comma here, and then you just give it the data type that you want it to be, and then in your query, depending on what you're trying to do, you will just say and. So sometimes you might not be trying to do another where clause, you want to do a select statement, so you want to make this a parameter. So whichever one you're doing, you just need to separate it by a comma. All right, and then the same thing when you're executing it, you want to separate it by a comma. So let's come back to here, and then now we're going to pass in another one. We're going to say age, and then this one is gender, and we need to give it another parameter, and we can do this one, female. Now let's give this a run and see what happens. Okay, so now we got back everything where the type is a female and the age is over 70. All right, so I hope that was helpful. Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. In this video, we're going to discuss the PDF activity, and I'm going to show you one of the many ways which you can extract data from a PDF. First thing you want to do is make sure that you have the PDF activity installed. Go to packages and then type PDF. And you should see this, and I've already have it installed, so I'm not going to do it again, but install that. And then another thing you want to do is go ahead and install the workflow if you don't have it installed. Where's it at? Yeah, I'm sorry, this here. So make sure you have this installed, because we will be using it. Now what we're going to do is, after you install those packages, you want to type PDF, drag over our PDF, and I will be providing you these files, but if you want to go ahead, there's a website, I can't think of the name right now, but there's a website called, I think, invoice.com or something like that, where you can create different PDFs of invoices, and that's what I did here. So I'm just going to create, I'm going to use these, and you can use these to follow along, or you can use your own PDF. Let me open it up so you can see what the PDF looks like. So this is what the PDF looks like, and when we extract it, we're going to see that it's going to split. It's going to have everything line by line, and that's very useful to know, because we're going to use that to split and actually get this total here. Okay, now let me just keep this up. Let me drag it to my other screen, and we want to get the file path for this. The name is Arizona.pdf. And then if you have a password protection on it, you use that. And then this is the range. You can specify a number of pages that you want to extract. So I'm going to do all the pages, since there's only one. We could even put one, since there's only one. And then let's give this a name. It's going to say PDF. Okay. So now that we have this PDF extraction, let's just print it out to the screen so that we can see it. Let's give this a run. Okay, and again, let me pull this back over so we can see it. If we'll notice that it's pulling everything line by line. So the suite 5A, and then 1, 2, 3 somewhere street, and then on and on and on. And so this is very helpful to know, because we can split this by line, and that's what we're gonna do. Close that out. Okay, so now that we have that, what we're going to do is, let's split this. So let's grab an assign, and then we're going to create a variable we call string array, and as the name indicates, it will be an array of strings. Then here we're going to use this PDF. We're going to say dot, it should be toString, but if it's not, let's say split. And then inside of here, we're going to use the handlebar. So let me make it bigger so you can see it. So inside of the handlebars, we're going to say VB LF, and then after the handlebar, comma, string split option. Sorry. Split options. Yeah, it's S dot remove entries. Okay, remove empty entries, and so that will split everything by line and put it in this array. And now we can do a for loop. 1 second. Okay, sorry, I'm back. But now that we split this here, we split this array, we can do a for loop, and then we can say for each item in this string array, do an if statement. And then we can say if item dot toString dot contains, and then we're going to look for this word total with all caps. If it contains the word total, then that's the row that we want to be on. And then we can say print this out, which is print item. Okay. Now we can take it even further than this, but just let me show you this part first. Okay. Give it a run. Okay, so now it showed us this row here. Now we can split this again by space and only get this part here. So that's what we're going to do now, and that's the reason why we install the workflow. It gives us this split string. So now we can say split this here. This here is called item.toString, and then the result is going to be, give it a variable called total, and the separator is going to be a space. We can say remove empty entries if we want, and then now we're going to say total, and this is actually an array that is going to give us, it's going to return an array. So we want to say index 1. So if you're familiar with arrays, you know, index 0 is the first one, which is the word total, and then this one will be the value. So now we can run this. And we get the value. So that is how you can do your PDF extraction. You can extract all of the data, and then do some kind of split string and split by rows, and find which value that you want to get. And this is one of the many ways. In the next couple of videos, I'll be showing you different ways of how you can do it. And the other ways are much easier and you know, probably even better to actually do. This is a good way, but you know, suppose you're looking for a value that, you know, changes a lot. Like there is no word that says total. How, you know, then how would you do that? So that's one thing that is a disadvantage about using this way. You have to have a specific item that you're looking for to be able to get the other value. And in the next couple of videos, I'll show you a lot of other ways. All right, I hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. In this video, we're going to see how we can extract data from our PDF using computer vision. Now let's get started. So the first thing we want to do is go to our start process, and we're going to start our Adobe Acrobat reader. So the way you find that is if you come to your C drive and then go to Programs 86, go to Adobe Acrobat Reader, and then you will scroll down here and you will see this. So give it this file path, this entire file path plus this file name. I'm just going to paste it in and then put it here in the file name. So it'll look just like this here, acro reader 32.exe. All right. So now that we have that, let's go ahead and run it so we can have it open. Okay, so we have it open. Now we want to attach to this window. We want to give this an output. Say Adobe Control K, Adobe window And then now we want to attach to this. Oh, I'm sorry, we're already attaching to it. Now we want to maximize this window if you would like, and if you do, just use that Adobe window. And then now after we attach, let's add a delay. Now of course in real production you would like to use some kind of wait, in intelligent wait for this element to appear or something like that. But for now I'm just going to use a generic delay, so it'll be 000001. Give it some time to delay before we maximize it. And then once we come here, if we know this right here, we can just simply say Control O to have this open. We're going to use a send key. I'm going to say Control O. And then now once we do that, let's copy this again because it's going to take some time for it to open, and it's going to give it 2 seconds instead. And then we're going to type into have it open. Okay, so let's give this a run first. So now we want to do our type into, then select this, and then for the value we're going to give it this folder name where we get our PDF. So you may still have it saved in yours. It was called Arizona.pdf. Okay. Then after we type that into that, we want to do a click button. Okay, so I'd like to open that. Then I know after we open it, it's going to be another delay before it actually opens. And for now, let's just run this and see. So we're going to cancel this, run it. Okay, so now we have that open. Now if you remember, what we would like to do is get this value here. So what I'm going to do is do another send key to scroll down the page. I'm going to say down, page down. And I'm going to go ahead and select the screen that I want to do. Although this is not really recommended, I mean, it's not really required. So let me just make sure that it can do it without it. Just to make it dynamic, I want to do it without the image, without trying to see, attach the send key to one screen. I want it to be able to work for any of these PDFs that we open up. Okay, so we got it to scroll down, and now the thing that I want to show you, the reason why we have to use computer vision is because let's say we are trying to get this text here, and you'll see what it's going to do. All right, so when we try to select this text, it selects the entire thing, right? And that is the reason why we need computer vision, because it allows us to just get this one item. Because right now, this is UiPath is seeing this entire thing as one view, right? So in order to get that, let me save this. Now, according to UiPath, when you are installing your computer vision, the first thing you need to do is remove this here. So if you right click on it, remove dependencies. Now when we do that, you'll see a lot of things that's going to break. Don't worry about it. We're going to get it. Okay. And then so now we want to come here, go to our packages. Well, come to settings. Once you come to your packages, come to settings and then click this add. And then it's going to bring this up. Well, click this here. And then you're going to put in a name that you want. Like I put mine in as beta release. And then for the source, you want to put this URL in there. So that's https www.mygit.org /F/UiPath, and then click add. And then what that's going to do is give you this beta release. And then from there, all you need to do is click on it once you installed it. Okay, yeah. So when you're searching, like once you add this, you have to click this here to include the pre-release, and then search for computer, and then you'll see this computer vision here, and just install it, and then accept the agreements. Okay, so now those errors have gone away. And now if we come back to our activities, we see this now, the computer vision. And so now what we have to do is remove this text. And in order to use computer vision, you need to put it inside of a computer vision screen, because the way it works is it's looking at an image or like a screenshot of an image or application or whatever it is, and then is making all of those elements inside of that relative to where those images are, where those elements are to that image. Okay, so just put it inside of a scope. Just trust me for that, and then agree to it. Then we can minimize this. So now we want to indicate on screen, we want to select the entire screen. Then if we click here and then say preview or show informative information, we'll see all of the blue areas which we can click. We can click here, here, everywhere on the screen we can click. Okay, and so now that we have that, we can do a get text and just drag it over here inside of it, and then click on the text that you would like to get. So we're going to say this here. Fresh anchor. Not sure why that did that, but let me click OK. Okay, so now we have this, and then we should have then let's give it a value. So we're going to say Control K, and we're going to say value. Let me just try something one more time. locate the target. Yeah. So yeah, so this is the one that I actually wanted. Now, either of those work, and let's just actually see the difference between the two. And let me go over it again. So if you do this this get text, and if you select the image like this, it'll just give you that image, and you can just select OK, right? And let me just see how that value works as opposed to the other one. It said it was named value, and then we're going to search for a box. And then let's close this, and then let's run it from the top. Okay, so it looks like that way where we are selecting the image doesn't work as efficient. So let's just try the way that I know to do. So let's close this. Should have kept it open. And let's go back to here, and let's remove this. And then now go back to computer vision. If we say get text, then this time if we select it, instead of dragging it, instead of doing like this, we just select it, right? And then this is going to give us the real value, because it's going to give us, this is our anchor, and it's going to anchor the value next to this, right? And so now we can say, come here and click this. We're going to call it value. Now let's give this a run. Okay, so it gave us the value that we're looking for, and it seems like, just based on this little demonstration, that the get text, when you click the value, works actually better than when you're trying to identify the image. So that's kind of what I would use if I were you. But so this is how we're going to use the computer vision, and if you see, and as you see, this is a lot more efficient than the way that we did it in the previous video. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Thanks for watching. In this video, we're going to discuss XML extraction. Now, I will provide you this XML that we will extract the data from, but just so that you know, this is what an XML is. And if you look at it, and if you know anything about HTML, it looks similar to HTML, and it has these nodes. So this right here is the parent node, and then these are child nodes. So we have invoice, we have another invoice, we have a bunch of invoices that's inside of this Dozier node, right? And each of these nodes will have, well, these nodes, this main parent node would have a type and then a number, right? And then so each of the child would have this invoice, and then it would have its own little childs, right? It have this invoice number, customer number, customer name, and then invoice line, right? And then it'll go back down here. This would have its own lines, and then it'll go down again to another invoice. So let me just close this one out. And then now it goes to the next invoice. And so this invoice here has a number, a customer number, and a name, and then each of these invoices has a line. So think about it from the invoice that we saw earlier in the videos where there was a quantity or a total price, and each invoice itself had a number, a name of the person, a number, a customer number, and then a customer name, and then it had like one line that was a total amount to something. Now we could have had several lines on that one invoice, and this is the same thing. Okay, I hope that was kind of clear. We're going to close this out, and I want to open up this website here. So we're going to kind of go a little bit into .NET. Now, I'm not claiming to be any .NET expert. My background is in Java, but once you know one language, you can do any language. I've coded in Java, C#, C++, Python, JavaScript, you name it, I've done it, because once you know the syntax of a language, then you can pretty much pick up any language. But what I highly recommend you do is go through this MSDN Microsoft website where you can learn .NET. And so this right here is a list of the namespaces. And now what I want to do is go to this XML namespace, right? So if you come here, you go all the way down to the bottom, you'll see this XML namespace. And so now this is a list of classes that are in this XML namespace, right? And so we have extensions, attributes, CData, comment, container, document, and so on and so forth. Now, this right here, this document, this represents an XML document for the components and usage of X document object. Now, so what this essentially means is that whenever we're doing our XML, the object that we're going to be working with is going to be of type document, right? And then on this object, right, if you come inside of here, I think I'm in X document, it has its own methods and properties. And so this right here is an example of it. So if you remember a minute ago, we saw something similar. Let me pull this back up. Okay, so this here is the root. So this right here is the root, and this whole thing is the document, right? This is the document that we're going to be working with, this X document. Now, this document has child data, in which what we saw inside of here, it has a child data. So this document here, which is Dozier, has child data called invoice. We have multiple invoice, and then each of these have their own child. So that's how you see this, right? Now, each of these has properties on it, and then they have methods of what you can do. You can call a different method on a object. So, for example, you can say add first, or you can create a reader, or create a writer, or descendants, or elements, or whatever, right? So these are the methods that are on this document, and above is the properties that are on this document. So you can call document.last node or document.next node you know, a document.previous node, and you can, so these are properties that are on the object, and these are methods that are on the object. And again, I highly recommend you just go through this, read it, take time, and you're only going to understand this by hands-on experience, by hands-on practice. It's not going to come, you know, easy to you unless you just dig in the code and kind of understand it, play around with it. I highly encourage you to do so, because once you get it, it's very simple. You can pick it up. You can go to any API documentation, just read it, whether it's this or Java or C++ or whatever. You can learn it once you just start understanding the syntax of it. All right. And I wanted to show you this because once we start doing our extraction, you're going to see us use these document types, right? So now let me drag this out of the way. Let me close this. All right, so the first thing we want to do is we need to go to our packages, and we need to, so we need to come here and then go to all packages and select Web API. Make sure we have that installed. I think I already have it. Let me see. No, I do not. Okay, yeah. So if you select this and then you install it, it give us JSON, JSON, REST, SOAP, and XML. And we're going to cover all 4 of these. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this file inside of my folder here. And I'm doing this so that I can just call it from the main. I don't have to go to see users and all that kind of stuff. All right, so now what we want to do is come to our activities, and we want to search for a read. So we're going to read it in as a text file, and then let's search for this. Then Control K, we want to name it XML string. And now what this is going to do is it's going to read this string, this text right here in as a string, and so we have to deserialize it to make it be an object in which it is actually in. Because again, if we go back to our .NET, these are classes, right? These are of object, right? You can see object. So what we need to deserialize it for, because, and you need to read about deserializing and serializing. But if you have a object that is all one, right? You have a class and it has a bunch of methods and properties on that. You can serialize that, meaning you keep it together and then you can write it out to a file, and then it'll be in some file format. But then when you read it back in from a file, you want to keep all of those same methods and classes and properties and everything together when you read it in from this string file or this file, and you want to keep them all together. So you have to deserialize it to make it reformat back to the object that it initially was, right? So essentially that's what deserializing mean and serializing mean, and you can read more about it if you want. So we need to go to, say, XML, And then we need to deserialize this. And we want to use this value that we just have, this extreme x. And then our output for this will be in x dot. Okay. And then now we can use a right line. Use 3 of them. All right. You can see this bigger. All right. So all we're doing is we getting our x doc, the object that we just got back from the serialization, and then we're looking for an element called Dozier, and then on that node called Dozier, again, let me open this up so you'll see it. That's it. Yeah. Okay, so this node right here, this root called Dozier. This is the object that we just got out, and then so this whole thing is the object. It's an XML object, and then the root node is called Dozier, which is this. And then the element that we're going to look for, the child element underneath this, if you remember, if we close this up, it closes everything. So we can see it better. So now the element underneath this node that we're looking for is called Dozier number, which is this here, right? And that's pretty much what it is. So we're going to write that to the line, and then we're going to do the same thing. And we're going to get this object XML dot.x, the element Dozier again, and then we're going to get the attribute of this node, and we're going to have it as a type, right? And so what that is doing is getting this type. And then we're going to get one more thing. I know I'm being lazy by copy and pasting, but. And so now we're just going to get the count of child nodes that we have in the invoice, right? So we're going to go and we're going to get this Dozier element again, and then we're going to look for invoice, and then we're going to get the count. We're going to see it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we're going to print those out to the screen and see how that goes. Close it out. Okay. So now we see the same thing. We see the doc number, the type, and then we see those four invoices that we actually have. The way we're going to go inside of these invoices here, we're going to loop over each of these. There's 4 of them. And then we're going to do a nested loop, meaning a loop within a loop. So we're going to loop over all 4 and do it 4 times. And then we're going to loop again inside of those and then get the invoice line number, right? So this will be 1, 2, 3 for this one. I think it's 3 for all of them. Nope, it's 2 for that one. So 3, 2. This one has none. This one has 1, 2, 3. So 3, 2, 0, 3. All right. All right. So now we want to get our loop. So we're just going to say 4 each. And we're going to put it here. And then we're going to do it for this x dot. We're going to loop over everything that's inside of here, right? The same XML doc. And now we're going to say dot elements, and then we're going to look for this Dozier. I don't want to misspell it in anything. DOSSIER. Then we're going to say dot elements, right? And then we're going to look for invoice. And let me explain. Now again, if you remember again, let me go back to it. So this here is a document. The whole thing is this object that we just got, this XDoc. And then we're going to this element called Dozier, this first node. Now, if there was multiple of them, then we'll do a little bit different. But it's one of them, right? It's one node in here, one parent node called Dozier. So that's why it's element Dozier. And then we're going to go inside of the elements, this child, and we're looking for invoice, which is these. Got it? Hope that's clear. And then now we're going to change this type here to, let me show you, go. So this type is going to be an element, right? So if you remember, this whole thing is a document type, and then each of these documents we're going to use the element, right? So let's go back here and you'll see we have the document, but now the type that we're going to use for looping over is an element, right? Because there's elements on this document type. So let's use this X element. What is that? System dot what? Dot XML. System.xml link, and then we're going to go into here and we're going to say it's going to be an element type, and we're going to choose that. And then now use the right line right here. Here we're going to write this. Let me make it bigger. We're going to write invoice number plus item dot element. Then we're going to look for the invoice number dot value. Let's open this up. So we're going to come here, we're going to get the invoice number, and we're going to get the customer name, and the customer number and customer name. Okay. Copy this. So we're going to say invoice line, actually. That's element. Then we're going to look for the invoice line. Then we're going to say dot count. Dot count. Dot toString. Okay. So we're getting the invoice line. Let's look at this. We're getting a line, invoice line, and then we're just going to get the count. All right. Now we're going to get another for loop. It's going to be our nested loop. And this is going to be our item dot elements inside of the invoice line. Let's change this to be a line instead of item. Okay, so basically what this is doing is we're saying that for each of the elements, so this right here is item, right? And so for each of the item, we're gonna get the elements and look for the invoice line, right? So we have this invoice line and we have this invoice line, and we're just going to keep on going through and getting for each. So the first thing we're going to go is loop over all of the invoices, and then inside of each invoice we're going to look for the line item, the line number for that, right? I hope that makes sense. And now we want to do one more write line. What was that? System.link. And now we want to write out this final value, this amount inside of this invoice line. And again, you can go and get all of this data if you want, but I'm not going to waste too much time on this. So we want to say amount, I line. This time we're doing I line dot element, and then we're going to look for the amount. Then we get the value of that. Okay. Now let's give this a run, and let's hope we have everything. Okay. So we have this doc number, the type, then there's 4 invoices, right? And so we have this first invoice, and then the line number. Well, there's 3 lines in there, so we have amount 1, 2, and 3 inside of there. And then now we have this next invoice number, and there's 2, so we have 1, 2 amounts. Then this last one, it has 0 amounts, and then so that wasn't the last one. This here is the last one, and the last one actually has 3. So you have 1, 2, 3, and then that's the end of it. So that is how you do the data extraction from XML. I hope that was clear. I know we covered a lot, but if you have any questions on it, please feel free to reach out to me. Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you next video. In this video, we're going to see how we can make REST calls. And in addition to that, we're going to see how we can parse the JSON response. Now, what I'm going to do is, if you go to this website called Quandle, type quandle.com, you would have to sign up for an account. It's free. You don't have to pay anything, but this is where you can get a lot of APIs and actually data as well. So I'm going to, let's create our HTTP. Now you should already have your package installed, but if not, just go to your packages and install the web API, and then type HTTP. I guess mine is not installed, so come to all packages and type and search for web API. And let's install it. Accept the agreements. Okay, so now type HTTP. We'll see this REST. So we're just gonna drag it over. And when you go to Quandle, you can actually search for anything to follow along. But what I did was I searched for, I went to, I think, financial, and I searched by free. Then I said the Zillow real estate, and then I just searched Texas. Right now you can search anything you want, but that's what I'm gonna use. And then I want to say I use this single family, or I'm not really sure which one I searched. Let me do it again. Yep. So I think it was this one, right? So once you come here, you will get this, and you can download, the JSON, the CSV or XML, and if you want to do Python or some other kind of thing, you can do that. So just come here, and if you say JSON, it will provide you with this data here, and you will be able to get this API key. Now, the thing I want to point out to you is that most of them, I believe, now we can go back and check some of the other ones and see, but I believe that most of them will all have this data as the base. You see this data set here, and this name will come in handy because this is what we need, right? So the thing that we're going to grab is this here first. Let's grab that and type it here. And then you can say preview, and it'll give you a preview of the data. And just say OK. And then we want to give this output. So we're going to say JSON output to result. Control K, JSON output. Okay. And then now we have to deserialize this. So let's say JSON. And what you will notice is that there's two, the JSON and the JSON array. So basically the way you'll be able to tell is, let me show you. So you see this square bracket here. If this JSON is inside of a square bracket, like if the whole thing is inside of a bracket, then that means this is an array of JSON objects. This here is just one JSON object that has array of properties inside of it. So this is just one property inside of that, right? But what we need to use then, since we know that this is just one JSON object, we need to use this JSON object. Now, if you have a data set, and I think I can find one, let me pull up something. I may have deleted it. Yeah. So if you find something like this, right? There's one, and it's inside of this square bracket. Right. If this JSON is inside of here, then that means it's an array of JSON objects, because we can easily have multiple of these, and it'll be separated by a comma. And this is how it would look if it was multiple. Oh, what happened? It will look inside of this, right? It'd be the square bracket, and then a JSON object, comma, another JSON object, and then maybe another comma, another JSON object. So if we have something like this, then that's where we are using this JSON array. But in our case, since we don't have that array, we're just going to use a JSON object. Okay, make sure that that's clear. So this is similar to what we did with the XML. We pass it in the value, this JSON object here, JSON output, and then we want to Control K and we'll say JSON deserialize, JSerialize. Okay, and then now we can we can probably even print this out. Let's just see what it is. Let's go to a box and let's say JSON serialize .toString. See if that'll give us. Okay, yep. So that gave us the whole object itself, right? Now, what we want to do is we want to be able to go in and iterate through all of those little properties that are inside. So I want to show you something. So let's use a for loop. Serialized, and then I want to let's message box this item. Okay, so now as you notice, it's giving us the same thing that we had before. Now you may be wondering, you know, what's going on, or you may not even notice it, but what's happening is this entire JSON object is being printed out, is being viewed as just one object, right? So if we come and if we, let's say we just disable this for a minute, and if we output serialize and we say .count .toString, we'll get back a 1. Right, because that means it's only one item inside of this, so to speak. That's what this is. Once it's serialized, it's serialized as one object. Now, the way we get inside of each of those properties, we would need to come here, enable for loop, and then we would want to use this data type. Right, I mean it's data set, and say go inside of here and iterate through everything that's inside of this data set. All right, so I'm going to show you the wrong way first, and then I'm going to show you the right way. Okay, so now we put this inside of here, and we should be able to try to get it right. Okay, so it is giving us each of these values, but it's giving us the key and the value, right? And maybe this is what you want, but the way I want to be able to get each of these values is I want to use the value. Okay, and in order for us to get the actual value, we try to say dot value, there is no value. So what we want to do is, if we come to our trusty website, well, maybe you haven't seen this before, but so this JSON, right, the first thing that we got back was this JSON object, right? If we look at this here, this output is a JSON object. If I hover over it, you'll see it's a JSON object. And so if we go inside of this JSON object, we'll see that the properties on here is child, count, first, everything, but there is no value. But if we go to this JSON property, all right, so this next one, this JSON property, then we'll be able to see value, and we'll be able to see type. I think type is on here. Yeah, type is on there. But we'll be able to see value. And so essentially what this is doing is each of those things that we saw and that we was iterating over are properties. So if we change this to a property type, then we can get the value of that property type, right? So if we say J property, now if we come here, we'll say dot value, and we can see value, right? I don't think we need to make it a toString, but let's just make it a toString anyway. Now we just getting a value. So this is what I want right here. Okay. Let me just stop this because I'm not going to go through everything. But that is how you iterate over a JSON object, and that is how you get the actual values of that property. Hope this was clear. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. In this video, we're going to extract data from our SAP tables that we created. Now, this is our table. This is our table. It's called Z Products, and just in case if you forgot how to get there, once you log in, you'll come to the screen. Just go to, you can type in SC16, or you can just double click on Data Browser and then search for the table name that you gave it. I gave it Data Products. Z Products, and then this is where we can enter in the data. Now, what I'm going to do is use, like what I did was, if you just click execute, it'll pull up all of the data that's in this table. And what I did was I just exported it out. And if you go to list, export, and then spreadsheet, you can export it out as a Excel file, or if you have the data, I think we should have it somewhere in products. Yep, so we should have it here. Like we should have had that data here in this table, in this spreadsheet. But if you don't have that, then what you can do is just export it out like I did, and that'll be fine, right? So that's what I'm going to do for this video. And quickly, I just want to reiterate that in the hands-on project, we will go through all of the things that we just learned, and we will go into more detail about a more detailed example of extracting data from SAP. But in this video here, I'm just going to show you how you can do it so that you can be aware of it for that hands-on project. Okay, so with that said, the first thing I want to do is let's look for an application scope for Excel. And then I want to, let me come here in project, go to window to the Explorer, and I want to move this this file into this right here. And the reason why, again, is so that I don't have to put the whole C colon thing. I can just click on it here and then say this is the file that I want to open up. All right. Okay, so now we want to search for our read range, and we're going to select this here, and it is sheet 1, and we can know that by going to Explorer again, opening up this Excel file, and we'll see that it's sheet 1. So we don't have to make any changes to this. Now let's save this as product DT. And then now that we have that, we're going to iterate over this. So let's go to our activities and let's look for data. Come on. Outside of this. And now I'm going to say product DT, and I need to change the scope on this. We want this to be in a sequence. Now I can say product DT. Okay, so now that we have this, we want to search for a message box just so we can see the values that we're going to look for. And again, if we come to our project floor, okay, so this is the column that we're going to look for. So let's copy that. And then we're going to say row dot item. We're going to put this in quote dot toString. Let's just run this real quick. Okay, so this is what we get back, and this is from this data here, the first one. So we know that that runs. Now let's stop it. And so now that we have that, the way we want to do this is when we come to SAP, we're going to search for this value. Let me just go and erase all of this. Execute. So what we're going to do is we're going to search for this, and we may even let's see what these would be different. And let's say type. So we're going to search for the type and the description, and then we're going to also pass in this quantity, and then if it matches the quantity, like if it's within the quantity, then we're going to return the price. Okay, so we also need to get this Z type, real estate type. Can I copy this? I copied it, everything. Copy it from here. Duh. Okay. Let's go back here, and then let's do a type into activity. Going to come to this type. Is it product type, or let's first look at the description, then we can know. So this is the retail type. Okay, so let's do another one, and it's the retail type, so it's this value here. Okay, so inside of here, let's say row dot item. I already have that, right? So I can copy from here. Let's just do this one. Row dot item. toString. Then I'm gonna copy this from here. Then we want to click enter or execute. So we're going to do a click. We want to do this button here. Okay. Now let's run this and see what happens. I'm not really sure why why UiPath is repeating it, but I think it's a give me 1 second. And I'm actually typing them into the wrong thing as well. So this should be here. Actually be here. So now let's search for a break. Once we do this one time, we want to exit out. There's no point of doing it twice. Okay. Happened. Okay, let me stop it. Make sure I'm on the right screen. This is Z products. Okay, now we can run it now. Okay, so now it's giving us the right thing. Okay, and then let's see if that returned any results. Yep, it returned one result. So now we can get this data here, and then we can do some logic to see if it matches, if it's within the quantity, and then return the price. Okay, so once we do that, and what I want to do is add a delay. It's going to be 00, colon 00, colon 0. Let me say 3 seconds. Maybe that's too much. Let me try 2 seconds. So that way it'll give us time to go to that result page. Then now that we're on the result page, we want to extract this value and this value. Let's get and what I'm gonna use is the computer vision, because whenever I do full text or either text, just say get text, it doesn't get me the right screen or the right element. See, it gives me the whole pane, so I don't want to use that. I have to run this again. Search for it myself manually. So this is the description, and this is type. Type. Okay, yep. Now that I'm on this screen, let's search for the computer vision. Okay, so we want to do yes, I agree. I want to do the whole page. If I can do the whole page. Okay, fine. Let's check it and see. Show. Yep, it does give me the value back. It will allow me to extract that value. So that's good. So now I want to get text. I want to get this text here. Let's drag it. So I want to get this, and I want to save this as the quantity. So output is product quantity. Say PRD QTY. Not sure why I'm doing caps, but hey. Okay, and then I want to do one more. I would like to get this value here. This is the price. PRD P. I see. It's fine. Okay, and then so now what I want to do is let's do it if then the scope values sequence. So now let's close this up. So we're all in the for. Okay, right here, just want to do the if. So now we're going to say if this price, no, if the quantity is greater than, and let's use this up here at the top. Let's say search for input. We're going to use a input dialog. This will be customer quantity. Label is enter quantity. Enter quantity. Okay. So now they'll enter their quantity. We'll get that quantity, and then we'll say if it's greater than this. And now to do this, we might have to do a string compare. Say dot equal. Might have to convert this to a number. So let's say dot parse. Okay, so sorry, I was having a brain lapse. So it's integer dot parse. I spelled an integer right. Integer dot parse, and then this value here. And then we could say if it's greater than integer dot parse in this value that we get from customer quantity. Okay, so if it is, then we're just gonna do a box true, and then if not, well, if it ain't, it's gonna say false. Then if it is, we're gonna put back the quantity dot toString. Let's give this a try. Let's make sure we're on the right page with the SAP. Leave that in there, it'll be okay. Okay, so let's give it a run. Let's say 20. So it gave us the wrong thing back. Okay, so we need to check that. But what it's supposed to do is give us the price back. Okay, that's fine. Oh, that's because I said price. PRD price dot toString. Okay, let's do it one more time. Have everything right. Let's run it. Let's say 389. I think it's 400, so we should still be under the quantity. That's 489. The price should be 152 that we get back. Yep, got it. Okay, so that is how we're gonna do that. And if you notice, like I just added a break so that we don't have to continue to go through all the loop. But that is how you extract data from SAP. It's fairly simple, especially now that we have this computer vision. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you in the next video. In this video, we're going to be creating our first custom code. The first thing you want to do is create a new UiPath project, and then let's open up Visual Studio. Then we're going to say File, New Project. Then we're going to select this class library. We're going to select the .NET framework, and then let's call this UiPath custom code. I'm going to select OK. Okay, so now this gives us our new project. We're going to select this. And we're going to say simple formula. Simple. All right, and then let's copy this. Right click on this. Say rename. Paste it and hit enter. And now we're going to open our references and we're going to make sure that we get these new references. So add reference, and then going to say system dot activities, then select. So it did that because I selected the name, but usually when you do it, it'll come here first. Make sure you select it and say OK, and you will see it inside of here. And then let's add one more, and this is system dot component, and use the component model and select it, and then you'll see it inside here. And then now we can use those. So using system dot activity and using system dot component. And now if we come inside of here, let's create a few variables. So we're going to say PROPG tab, and then let's go ahead and remove this private. And then we're going to say change this to an input argument, and select this one here, and it didn't give us that. So we're going to call it, it's going to be a double, it's going to be first number, and let's give it this category, and it's going to be an input. And let's do the same thing again. Say PROPG tab, another input argument, and another double. Gonna be second number. Move the private, and you could have probably kept the private. So now we're going to say category tab, input, then we're going to do another one. We're going to say PROPG. It's going to be an output argument, and this is going to be a double as well. It's going to be called result number. And then we need to inherit this code activity class. So code activity. Then once you do that, you should see some squiggly lines show up eventually. And then you just right click and then say implement abstract class. So that'll give us this class here. So we need to implement this. So now we're going to say var first number equals first number dot get context. I'm just going to get the context of whatever's passed in here. Var second number, same thing, second number dot get context, and then we're going to say var result equals system dot math dot pow. Then we're going to say first number plus second number 2. Then now we're going to say result number number here equals, no, I'm sorry, dot set the context. So we're going to set this result, this output, to be this number here. So context, and then we're going to say result. Okay, so everything should be good. Now let's come over here and then right click here and say build this. And then you should see one succeeded. And then then that's good. And then right click it again and say open folder in File Explorer. And then now you want to download the NuGet. So if you come to this website here, github.NuGet Package Explorer /NuGet Package Explorer. And then if you scroll down here, it'll tell you how to install it. Since I'm on Windows 10, I can just come to Microsoft's store. Otherwise, you can do this. And just once you install that, you can go open it up and just type NuGet. And now we come here to this where we just opened up this File Explorer, and then go to bin, debug, and we'll see the DLL that we just created. Let's copy that folder. Let's come to NuGet and say create new package. Right click on this and say add library folder. You'll see this here, and then right click and then say add existing file. Give it this file path that we have, and then select this DLL that we just opened up. Then we're going to say edit metadata. Let's give it a name, activities custom formula. And then once you can change this other stuff, hit the checkbox. And then now we want to save it, and we're going to save it in that same the same folder. And now we should see this NuGet package here. We can go ahead and close this out. Let's go to UiPath, and let's go to Manage Explorer. And if we come to settings, and if we remember, this is our user defined package sources. So if we just give this a name, so let's say UiPath custom formula, and then let's give it this file path here, and then say add. So we should see it here. Click on it and then come here and say install and save. Okay, so now if you should be able to see it here, but just if you don't, just say UiPath and then just drag this over. Now whenever you drag it over, if you don't see this come up, then just keep on trying to rebuild your Visual Studio. Like just go back and then clear out. It's like you'll be inside the bin. So like go to the bin, go to the deep debug, and then remove all of this, and then rebuild it, build it again. And then just kind of do that whole process over, and then the next time you do it, you should be able to see this. So now if we come here, let's say 6, let's give it the second number, 5, then let's say Control K, results. And then let's do a box. And results. So now if we run this, we'll be able to get something. 121. And so this is how you use the custom activity You can create any code that you would like to create inside of Visual Studio and use it inside of UiPath. But I just kind of wanted to show you how you can do that. Now you can get creative as you want, okay? If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me and I will answer those questions. Thanks for watching. Look forward to seeing you in the next video.